Hello, I'm Deborah Vinsel, CEO of Thurston Community Television. The League of Women Voters Thurston County and TCTV had agreed to provide a telephone connection with EJ Zita so she could participate in this forum even though she was unable to attend in person. We've done this in the past with success, making it possible for all candidates of a particular race to share their positions with our viewers. However, during the recording of this forum, TCTV experienced unexpected technical problems that disrupted the phone connection and prevented EJ Zita from being a full participant. Following the forum, we were able to record Ms. Zita's opening and closing statements and have included them in the program. Our sincere apologies to the candidate and to our league partners for the difficulty. We now present the forum for Port Olympia Commissioner District 3, and please don't forget to vote.
Good day. Thank you for tuning into this primary election candidate forum for Port of Olympia District 3. This forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TCTV. The League is a nonprofit, nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with the legislature. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of voting age. I'm Melissa Minharis from the League, and I will be moderating today's forum. The candidates for Port of Olympia, District 3, are Jerry Farmer, Bob Jones, and Elizabeth E.J. Zita. Ms. Zita is not able to join us today, but she will be on the primary ballot. For this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then I will ask a series of questions in alternating order. The candidate first asked the question will have 2 minutes to respond. The other candidate will then have 1 minute. Each candidate will have 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We will begin with opening statements from the candidates. And today, we will start first with Mr. Farmer, Jerry Farmer. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and to TCTV for helping us put this on today. The most important thing the Port of Olympia can do is create jobs in our community, living wage jobs. Fully employed families shop at local businesses, contribute to local charities, and have the money to use our great recreational facilities and enjoy the natural beauty of our county. Prosperity is the key to a thriving community. And let's face it, more jobs mean more people buying things, which generates more sales tax dollars so that cities and other local jurisdictions have the budget they need to pay hardworking employees and teachers, and also to pay for our parks. Who then spend it all over again? It's a simple equation. It all comes back to jobs. The port is the biggest economic driver in our area and a nexus for sustainability and growth. Environmental stewardship and economic vitality don't have to be mutually exclusive terms. The port is in a unique position to advance that agenda, from creating a food storage facility and commercial kitchen complex for our South County farmers to a state-of-the-art marine fuel dock to encourage more clean tourism spending through the bountiful byways of our area. I'm not new to this process. For decades, I've volunteered in our community to improve our quality of life, helping charities raise money, and serving on transportation, tourism, and sustainability planning committees. I understand the challenges of financial responsibility, environmental cleanup, supporting new businesses, and most of all, creating jobs. I've prepared myself to be able to see the whole picture, to protect our environment and our quality of life, to help create jobs, help us get working, and get working together. I'd like to work with you to create a shared vision for our future. That's why I'd like to serve as your Port Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Next, we'd like to hear your opening statement, Bob Jones.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you to the League of Women Voters here in Thurston County. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today. First, I support the Port of Olympia as a vital part of our economic development aspect of Thurston County, and in fact as an economic engine for growth in family wage jobs. As a former president of the Thurston County Economic Development Council, I know full well what the value of the Port of Olympia is to Thurston County. I see the influence that the port has, and I will work diligently to help grow the port's business lines. My background, after retiring from the U.S. Army, serving 22 years as an officer in the logistics and operational fields, finally retiring at the grade of Lieutenant Colonel at Joint Base Lewis McChord, where I was the senior logistics officer at the 1st Corps. I found myself supporting combat operations, contracting, and movement of military equipment and supplies. My community service after retiring from the military here in Olympia, while I was serving as a consultant, in my own business, I found myself supporting many local community organizations. One hallmark of my time in community service has been that most of the organizations that I served with, I found myself as a leader of that organization, serving as president or chair or vice chair or in some form or fashion. The City of Olympia has also appointed me as the military liaison for the City of Olympia to JBLM. I've also found myself president-elect of a 501c3 organization called the Madigan Army Medical Center at JBLM. I'm an immediate past chair of the Olympia Coalition of Neighborhood Associations, where I, in fact, served to broaden the consensus of those citizens that belong to the coalition. There are 40 neighborhoods, and I found myself leading that group. And I look forward to serving here as a port commissioner and bringing more opportunity to enhance the transparency of this organization and to bring in more public involvement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum, and thanks to TCTV for arranging my participation. My name is E.J. Zita, and I've been working to improve Port of Olympia operations for a decade. The Port of Olympia taxes everyone in Thurston County and operates both the marine port in Olympia and the airport in Tumwater. The port makes business decisions with little public input and loses about $2 million each year in public funds. The port serves as its own environmental review agency. This has led to problems such as the dioxin from logs in the marine terminal. Near the airport, the port proposed to clear and pave up to 200 acres of urban forest in 2005. In response, I organized neighbors and worked with the city of Tumwater to pass an ordinance protecting public health and safety, and our forest still stands. Our actions showed the port the importance of planning directly with citizens and cities. The port appointed me to an advisory board for economic development, where I support smart, sustainable development, environmental stewardship for recreation and ecosystem services, and coordinated planning with the public. As chair of Thurston County's Agriculture Committee, I know that the Tumwater Farmers Market can use a bigger location on port property, and local farmers are ready for a farm-to-market center where they can add value to their products and distribute food regionally. As a PhD physicist, I envision renewable energy and green buildings throughout port properties as we transition away from fossil fuel projects. Moving the port into the future with food security and energy security can also provide new jobs and economic security. With better planning, the Port of Olympia has the potential to contribute to the public's well-being, not just to the wealth of a privileged few. Thank you.
So now on to the questions. And for the first question, we'll actually start with you, Bob Jones. There has been concern about sufficient transparency and avenues for public input into port decisions. Would you propose additions or changes?
Yes. And in fact, what I would do is I would bring more people into the process. Right now, there are probably small groups that have very loud voices. I would like to get a larger number of groups involved and get the consensus of the entire community. As you know, the Port of Olympia is an asset for the entire Thurston County. And I would bring in groups from neighborhoods, from single-issue organizations, from multiple issue organizations, as well as the business community, the environmental community, and I would host a public involvement process, and I would use the process that I put forth at the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations, where I developed the neighborhood conversation. I would institute what's called the Port of Olympia conversation, and one of the things that I would do is I would listen to everybody, take input from everybody, and put it into the form of a process that we could have public input be recognized as something of importance, and that would enhance the transparency. I would also, in fact, tell you that when people participate in the process, they will tend to support the process decision, even if they don't agree with it.
Thank you. Mr. Farmer, same question.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. You know, it's great that we have transparency in government, and it's certainly been a good thing over the years. I was lucky enough to be involved in TCTV in its early years, during its formative period, if you will. And one of the things that we tried to do at that point was get more transparency by having filming of city council meetings and that sort of thing. And it's at first we got some pushback from public officials, but interestingly, over the years, it's turned out that the public officials really, really like that process. It gives people the opportunity to, as Bob pointed out, feel engaged, feel like they're part of the process, part of the decision-making process. They are able to have input and make a difference. And one of the cool things about what the Port is doing right now, you know, they have a citizens advisory committee that's been in process for quite a long time. They're kind of a standing committee. Their members circulate over time. They have a different degrees of tenure. There's also a Citizens Advisory Committee going on right now for the Newmarket Industrial Center, and that's been an absolutely great process. It's facilitated, part of that process is facilitated by TRPC, and it's just been a wonderful involvement of community.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question will start with you, Mr. Farmer. This year, the Port Commissioners will be discussing the best use for its property located between the Children's Museum and 4th Avenue. What would you propose for that area?
Thanks for asking that question. Actually, as the immediate past president of the Olympia Downtown Association, I sort of can chime in on that subject. Brett Buckley and other judges have proposed that the Thurston County Courthouse be moved downtown, and that property is actually a good place for it. It would give what it would do is give folks downtown the opportunity to people working downtown to shop at downtown locations, go to downtown restaurants, ease the congestion up on the hill. Thurston County Courthouse complex up on the hill is very, very congested right now. And what we will see when the courthouse is built, if we can get it built, if we can work out that kind of a deal, will be more vitality downtown, a greater mix of different types of people downtown, and will really increase the diversity, if you will, of the whole downtown area. So I look forward to that as being part of the process. I'm not sure where the Port is going on that. I know that they would love to have somebody occupying that area and occupying it in a very, very positive way. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Jones, what would you do with that property?
Well, I certainly wouldn't argue with Brett Buckley if he wanted to put a courthouse there, but one of the things that I would do is look at that area as a lot of traffic. People come to the destination called the Hands-On Children's Museum, and I would certainly try to capitalize on that. Seems ripe for a restaurant in that area. I know at one point in time there was a possibility of even putting a small hotel there. I don't know how much traction that would have, but I could see a restaurant in that area. There are a lot of walking paths, and there's also a lot of opportunity for people to spend their money, and a restaurant would seem to be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you very much. So Bob Jones, you get the next question first. As Port Commissioner, would you accept all legal cargo or propose restrictions?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't propose restrictions. What I would do is I would look at the business plan first, and I would consider the environmental impact while I'm working on that business plan, as a part of that business plan. And legal cargo that goes through that particular marine terminal, I assume you're talking about, would actually be something that would be en route to a use that would also be a legal use. So I would want to see what it's being used for. I would say that at this point in time, there should be no restrictions on the cargo. There should be, in fact, a business plan that makes sense, that is also environmentally sustainable and economically sustainable. I would also suggest that business development and adding more business lines is what we need most for the marine terminal right now. As you know, the marine terminal business is down right now, and so we need some diversity of business lines. My background in business development would actually help me to find additional, help the staff find additional business lines, and I certainly wouldn't put any restrictions on it.
Thank you.
I agree with Bob to some extent. You know, the port is in a position where they have to honor both internationally legal cargo and interstate commerce as well. So in some respects, they stand the possibility of being sued by people if, in fact, they don't allow certain cargoes to go through. That doesn't mean that they can't prioritize. That doesn't mean that they can't accept one cargo over another if, in fact, they can get that cargo through the process sooner. And I think a prioritizing system that's in place that prioritizes environmental standards is a good one to have. I think it would also be great to, as Bob said, increase the diversity of it. As a basic investment strategy certainly is to have a number of different cargoes available at any given time. The Port of Olympia right now does break bulk cargo, which means that it's got a lot of interesting little pieces of cargo that it can do that some of the major container parts don't do. When they do that, when they look for those sorts of opportunities, I think they will best serve the public interest.
Okay. Thank you very much. That actually leads very nicely into our next question. And Jerry Farmer, we'll start with you this time. As Commissioner, how would you balance environmental concerns and economic development?
That's a very good question, and it's something that the Port of Olympia has to do every day. You know, the interesting thing about the port is it's what's known as an economic driver. That means that it can bring outside money into our area and use that money to help develop economic interests in our area. But they can still do it in a way that is economically, just economically, but environmentally sustainable. And I think the port has had a great record in recent years of environmental cleanup. Some of the money they use from the tax base that they get is right now being used to clean up the South Sound from legacy pollution. They've cleaned up the West Bay area before they sold it to the city of Olympia. They've cleaned up the area underneath the Hands-On Children's Museum and worked in partnership with them to get that area cleaned up, removed a lot of the derelict warehouses there. They're currently putting up a nature trail with birdhouses that will attract wild birds into the area they're doing that in conjunction with the Audubon Society. They're making a lot of efforts to have an environmental agenda that works very well for all the people, and also doing it in such a way that it creates economic development. If you think about it, the Olympia Farmers Market, the Hands-On Children's Museum, Swantown Marina, these are the sorts of ways to bring money into our area and do it in a way where we get some clean tourist dollars, we get some jobs being made, and we get greater, how shall I put it, greater cachet with the rest of the state and rest of the country as a great place to come and visit. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would add to that part of the business development process must include environmental stewardship. So when you take a look at what business lines you'd want to add to what they already have, what you'd want to do is make sure that the environmental community is heard as to how the impact of that business line would be on the environment itself. And so I would look at the Port of Olympia, number one, as being a job creator, an economic driving engine for the local community. And I would certainly think that we could lead the way in environmental stewardship. There are examples of that ongoing right now. They've got a state-of-the-art water treatment plant for the Cascade Pole cleanup. They've got a state-of-the-art water treatment plant for the for the runoff of the log yard. And they've also done quite a bit to clean up the Cascade Pole, and I would hope that the port would continue to lead the way in that environmental stewardship.
Thank you very much. So, Bob Jones, what are your budget priorities as Commissioner for the next 4 years?
Well, the budget priorities would be first, I would look at what economic development opportunities we have. That would be my first priority. As a business developer, I would look to support the staff in anything that would bring more revenue to the port. I would like to reduce the dependence on tax dollars, and so therefore I would want to increase the business opportunities. There's several lines. Most everyone knows that we have an airport, a marine terminal, a marina, and a leasing operation for land. I would look to bring in some more opportunities for that leasing program, and I would look to bring in more diverse business lines for the marine terminal. So I would want to spend the appropriate amount of money in every area that they're currently spending money on, but I would prioritize it with the business lines first. Then I would look at continuing to operate the cleanup process. That has to be a priority. And I would also, in fact, look at marketing the Port of Olympia to other parts of the world so that they will see the Port of Olympia as an advantage. We're down at the bottom of the Puget Sound, and one of the things that we have to overcome is we have to overcome the distance from other ports. And so we have to be better at doing what we do. And right now we have an outstanding longshoremen group that work there, and I would want to give them more opportunity to participate and to increase the workload for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Farmer.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to get the port rolling on the food hub idea. I think it's a really important thing to do, particularly for our South County farmers. A lot of agriculture going on in South County right now is very, very seasonal, and if they don't have the opportunity to have a commercial kitchen, the opportunity to have a food storage facility, some of those opportunities for economic growth for them are going by the wayside. So I'd like to see the port focus on that, a commercial kitchen, food hub, food storage area, maybe even some business incubator money would be really, really great. And possibly that can take place at the port properties south of the airport, which even now we're doing some visioning on. Secondly, I'd like to see a fuel dock. The fuel dock move forward, a marine fuel dock, especially a state-of-the-art marine fuel dock could mean immense dollars coming southbound from boaters in the north end of the Sound. Thirdly, I'd like to see more retail near the Swantown Marina area. And fourthly, I would really like to see the port invest in putting solar collectors on every single rooftop that the port owns to start being more energy neutral in what they do.
Thank you very much. And we come to our last question today. We'll start with you, Jerry Farmer. Would you approve raising the minimum wage?
You know, I would. I think that the minimum wage can lift us all. And honestly, not to make a pun of it port-wise, but all boats rise together. I think that would be great. But I would like to see it happen in a way that doesn't cut into our small businesses. Small businesses, I know because I'm a partner in one, find it very, very hard to get by each and every day and pay their bills. It's not like we're big mega corporations that are just reaping in the profits. We're doing everything we can to stay afloat, and we're doing everything we can to stay afloat to pay our employees. And honestly, there have been times when I've had to put off a paycheck so that my employees can get paid. $15 an hour, I think, is a very fair wage, and whenever possible, I think that we should try to put that into effect. But I would recommend that we do our best to phase it in such a way that small businesses don't have to go bankrupt in order to, because they have no other choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would add to that before I would vote for a minimum wage increase, I would talk to every business that I would have some effect on. Those businesses that are currently working on the port property and at the port itself. So if we have any direct employees that are being affected, I certainly would see that as a little bit different than those like at the farmers market. I would talk to every business person that owns a business before I made a decision. I would not just arbitrarily raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour because it's the politically correct thing to do. What I would do is check with everyone first to see how that would impact on their business. If it impacted on their business and people started going away from the port, that would not be a good thing.
Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now it is time for closing statements, and we'll hear first from Jerry Farmer.
All right, thank you. The most important thing Port of Olympia can do is create jobs in our community. I've said it before, living wage jobs. Fully employed families shop at local businesses, contribute to local charities, and can afford to buy homes. Prosperity is the key to a thriving community. As I've said before, the port is a major economic driver in our area. Nearly 7,200 jobs trace back to port commission decisions, from international trade to clean tourism jobs. The Olympia Farmers Market, the Hands-On Children's Museum, and the Swantown Marina are really a reality today thanks to community partnerships with the port. We must do more. We must continue to protect the environment and unique qualities that make our area special while creating jobs. I'm a small business owner. I volunteer in our community. I help charities raise money, and I serve on transportation, tourism, and planning committees. I'm committed to improving our quality of life through economic and environmental sustainability. I'll advocate for financial responsibility, environmental cleanup, supporting new businesses, and most of all, creating jobs. I'll work with you to create a shared vision. I'm Jerry Farmer, and I ask for your vote for Port Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
My name is E.J. Zita, and I aim to improve the Port of Olympia. Public resources should be used for the public good. As Port Commissioner, I will bring more transparency to the port decision-making and finances, help small businesses grow, and work to create local jobs. It can't be business as usual at the port. Expensive cranes that are mostly idle, pollution and trucks endangering neighborhoods, special deals for a privileged few, and borrowing tax money to cover the port's losses. There's a better way. I would invest in clean, renewable energy, make the port accountable to the public, help local farmers expand our food security, and encourage incubation of small local businesses. The time is now, and I am the right person for the job. Real change at the port can be accomplished. A neighborhood organizer, environmentalist, and scientist, I serve on a Port Advisory Committee and chair Thurston County's Agriculture Committee. I will help bring a strong, sustainable economy to the Port of Olympia. Vote Zita for Port.
And Bob Jones, your closing.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to talk with you today. I see myself as a person who has spent the last 40-some years preparing myself for this position. With the business development experience, with the leadership and management experience, dealing with contracting, dealing with logistics, dealing with all of the issues that are pertinent to operations at the Port of Olympia, I would see myself as helping the port move to the next level, and I would do so by supporting the staff in their effort to increase the family wage jobs by bringing in more business, and as I've said before, diversifying that so that we don't depend on one particular business or another. I'm a small business owner. I've retired from that business. I still happen to own that business. But I will tell you that those opportunities here in Thurston County are the best are ahead of us at this point in time. And I look forward to being your Port Commissioner from District 3. I'm Bob Jones, and I would like to have your vote. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of this forum. Again, I want to remind you that the candidates for Port of Olympia District 3 are Jerry Farmer, Bob Jones, and Elizabeth Zita, who was not able to join us today. Thank you very much, candidates, and thank you to TCTV and the League of Women Voters for making this forum possible. Viewers out there, we hope that when you vote in the August primary election, this information will help you make a more informed decision about your candidates. Goodbye.